Hello and welcome to Box Free with Stephanie. Today I want to show you how to make some basic foods with simple ingredients from scratch. And I hope you discover that cooking box free is fast and delicious. So let's cook together. Today we're going to make turkey noodle soup because it's turkey time and everybody always has leftovers of turkey, it seems like. So the very first thing I'm going to do is get some butter in my pan. I'm going to put a good 2 tablespoons in because I'm going to make a nice like a roux to make a thickener. And then the first thing I'm going to do is cut 2 carrots up. I've already peeled them, and then I try to go along the long way once and go along again so that I get these 4 little pieces. And then I like to have very small pieces in my soups, and then I get them. So if you like just the round disc of a carrot, then just cut that. And this recipe is kind of all very much like however much you want to make is fine. So I generally have about 6 cups of broth when I boil my carcass, and I don't know, so it seems like 2 carrots and 2 celery sticks or celery stalks are usually enough, but you'll kind of have to see how much you have, and you can of course make much less if you need to. Okay, so I'm almost done with my carrots, and then my pan is like not hot at all. I should have preheated it with my little hot plate. Okay, so you see how small my pieces are? Like, that's what I really like, and that's because we're doing soup, and I'm very particular with my soup. I like to have like small pieces of stuff to put in my soup. So I'm not going to cut these in half because this is a really nice small stalk, and I like that itty bitty, like perfect little round piece. So if I had a really wide stalk of celery, I would probably cut it right down the middle, so I'd have 2 halves, but this is like the perfect size that will fit on my spoon, so I'm going to just keep it whole. But see, now these are getting a little bit big for me, but we're just gonna make it work. I mean, it's not really gonna matter, but I do like them generally quite small. Oh my goodness, this is really taking a long time. Okay, so now I'm doing 1 onion. And again, you can kind of do whatever you like, but I mean, I feel like carrots, celery, and onion are kind of like the standard. I mean, this is basically chicken noodle soup, except with turkey, you know, like it's not that different or difficult. Oh my gosh, got to get this dang thing off here. Okay, this is difficult, peeling my little onion skin off. Okay, should have got a little garbage plate going. I'm making like a big old mess over here, but that's all right. I'll just clean it up later. Gosh darn, I can't get this thing off. Sometimes I take my knife, but I don't like to do it with my gigantic knife. It works really well with a little paring knife because then you're not really afraid you're going to slice your hand off. But this one's a little bit, there we go. A little bit scarier to do it with that, but look at how much faster it is. All right. So if you don't cut your hand off, it's really effective. Oh, I need my little my spatula to stir. Okay, my butter is finally starting to melt. Okay, so now for my onions, I also make them very small. So I do 4 or 5 cuts across, and then across again, and I lay it down. And then I end up with these nice, just like super small pieces. So they kind of disappear. By the time you get the turkey broth in there, which is pretty clear, and then your little onions are translucent, you don't even know you're eating onions. So somebody doesn't like onions, you could probably stick them in there because, like, I don't know, they really have a good taste. Maybe they do. You probably would notice. Okay, so now I can hear my stuff sizzling, which is perfect. All right, so this looks like a lot of nice vegetables. My pan's like this deep with veggies, and that's perfect. And now my eyes are starting to feel the onion. Oh gosh, I always forget when I cut an onion. I do it every time I cut it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, my eyes! You know, like it's never happened before, and it happens all the time. But that's all right, it doesn't last very long. Okay, so that's going to keep cooking, and in the meantime, I'm going to take my little container of turkey, and so I have just kind of all the goofy pieces here, because I usually take all the really nice pieces, I don't know, any of the breast and things like that. Oh, my eyes, whew! And I make turkey sandwiches because I just really like turkey sandwiches. So these are probably like the thighs and some of the wings, and then all the parts from the carcass. So when I do turkey, noodle, and chicken, any poultry product, when I have a whole bird is what I should say, I always make broth, and then if I don't need it right away, I just throw it in the freezer. And that's because I really believe like cooking that carcass and getting all the good stuff out of the bones is probably why chicken noodle soup is always so good for you. I mean, I don't know any of the science behind it, but my point is, when I'm done with my turkey or my chicken, I just kind of break up the carcass into pieces so that if it's basically in this pan, I usually do it in this pan, so if I have to like break the rib cage because it's like too big, then I just do that. And then I just put it with some water to kind of cover it, and then I bring it to a boil, and then I put a cover on it and I let it simmer like 4 to 6 hours, depending upon what I'm doing that day. Then eventually I add salt, and most times I forget to taste it, so like this broth, I have no idea how salty it is because I just don't ever want to taste chicken broth or turkey broth, I guess, so I just don't. I just like throw in probably like a tablespoon or two of salt, and so I never really know if it's good. So when I'm using it then, good and salty. When I'm using it for my soups, then I just wait until I'm basically ready to kind of serve, or like be done, and then I taste it and see how much salt I need. And generally I need quite a bit, so just because I don't over salt my broth, but normally you would. And then if you want to cook your broth with like onions or whatever, you can. I just don't, but I do put all the skin and all the bones, and the carcass usually has a decent chunk of meat, but I throw everything in my pot, and then I strain it. Like I have this big thing, so I scoop in and kind of grab out all my big bones, and then I use my really fine sieve, and I basically pour it from one pan through my fine sieve into another pan, and then I do it again, and then if I'm still collecting a bunch of junk in my sieve, then I do it a third time. So it just depends on how thorough you are kind of when you first do your like big collection and getting the pieces of skin and bones and all that. And then the turkey meat, you kind of want to try to make sure you get your bones out. So of course it never fails when I'm eating soup or feeding somebody soup, and then you like get this little bitty weird bone, and that's not always very fun, especially if you're having company over. If it's your family, then you just be like, oh, sorry, but you really want clean turkey if you're serving this to other people. And I think this is pretty good because a lot of times when you're cutting your meat up, you can feel if there's a little bone in it, because again, I cut mine pretty small. So then, your bone's going to be probably bigger than your piece of turkey. So that's a good way to kind of make sure that you don't have any bones in your leftover turkey. And then I'm just going to salt this now. So this is looking pretty good already now. I think I'm going to add a little more butter because I want to make sure that I have enough butter so I can add enough flour to make a thick enough sauce. Because I'm basically gonna make a roux here. I'm gonna add flour and then I'm gonna add my broth, and then I'm hoping that thickens. Then when I add the rest of my broth and my noodles, it won't be like watery, you know, like I love homemade soup, but I don't love watery soup, you know. Okay, so this is not quite soft enough, but I mean, we're like almost done. We're gonna add a little bit of flour, the broth, the cut up turkey. Oh, and then my noodles. I have these noodles, which I don't even know what they're called. They're just so cute. They're like itty bitty little tubes, you know, like, I don't know. I'm sure they're called something obviously in the store, but I like this because again, I like to be able to, when I'm eating my soup, I like to be able to scoop everything up and everything fits just really nicely on the spoon. Everybody uses like egg noodles or whatever for turkey noodle, and I just don't like that because the noodles are too big. And when I'm making chicken noodle soup, my family doesn't want this. They want like the real, you know, long noodles. So then I take spaghetti noodles and I just break them up like as small as I can get them in my hand, basically, which is usually about that long. But I'm very picky when it comes to like eating soup, and I want it to be, I just want it to fit on my spoon nicely so I'm not like falling things over. And so anyway, whatever shape pasta you want, probably an egg noodle. And I pre-cook mine all the time. You could cook it in the broth, but I guess I just don't. I don't know, for some reason I never do that. So whatever you want. If you want to add your broth and then add your raw noodles, then you would just have to simmer it for like, I don't know, 20 minutes or so till your pasta is soft. And when I pre-cook mine, I just make sure that I don't overcook it. And I generally don't rinse it when I'm going to be putting it in a soup because any of that starch is good with me. I want it on my pasta so it kind of thickens my my soup. So this I did not rinse. I just cooked it, poured out the water and poured it in here. And this is like 2 cups worth. So we'll see how that all kind of looks, because if you have too much broth and not enough pasta, then it's like super soupy, and if it's like too many noodles, then it's like a hot dish in a bowl, which whatever, maybe that's okay with you. Okay, so what did I say this was? This is actually, yeah, 6 cups. Okay, so this still has my chunks of fat because it's still a little bit cold, and I took out a bunch of fat, like the whole thing was almost covered. So I just reached in and grabbed out most of the fat, which you would not have to. I mean, if you want that nice flavor, just keep it in. But I don't know, I don't always. So, okay, so this has been cooking for a while. So now I'm going to pour about a cup of, I don't know, cup and a half. Very gently, right? That was just beautiful. Okay, and whoopsie. I just like to do a little bit because I can feel the bottom of my pan has all that good flour that was baked on there. And so I want to loosen all that up. And then I like to make sure that since my flour has coated every single piece of my vegetable, I don't want there to be any clump of vegetable. So I like to stir in just like a cup or so, so that I can see that it's all worked in, basically. Plus I feel better because then I can like see it start to thicken. I'm gonna wait just a little bit. And then I know it's getting thick and it's working. Like, I don't know when it wouldn't work. I don't usually have a thickening sauce that doesn't thicken, but I feel better doing it this way. So instead of dumping all my broth in at once, I just do a little bit. And then once this gets thick, then I feel better. And then I add in my turkey and my noodles and my broth. I bring it all up to temperature, taste it, and done. It's, I don't know, I think it's really easy, I guess. And it's a really good way to use up all your kind of goofy turkey or chicken pieces. All right, so we're waiting and waiting. I can't smell it. It smells really celery. Oh, and the other thing sometimes I do, if I feel like I don't have enough vegetables, is add like some frozen corn, and I just take it right out of the freezer and dump it in. And I usually do like a half a cup or a cup. But I really like my ratio of orange to green today, so I don't think I'm going to make it any greener. I really like how my noodle soup is always just like green and orange, and then the meat, and then the clear broth. So again, that's a total personal preference. If you want the peas and you want more veggies, I don't know, I suppose you could do broccoli and like peppers, I mean a bunch of stuff. But I keep it very simple because I feel like chicken noodle soup is really simple and turkey noodle soup should be simple, and therefore it is, which makes it pretty easy. Okay, so this is a little bit thick. Of course, not like, you don't want it like pudding, you know, it's not really supposed to be thick like pudding, but I don't know if you can see that, but it is thicker than water, which is good. That's what I want. Okay, so I think I'm gonna add in, oopsie, oh boy, the dogs will be happy. Just gave them some turkey. I'm gonna add in my turkey here. Okay, then that is done. And then, ooh, that's hot. Okay, we're not gonna move it anymore. Okay, so I'm gonna let my turkey just heat up. Actually, maybe I'll let my noodles heat up with it because these are both really pretty chilly, and so it's gonna take a little bit of time. Now we've got some noodles, okay. Looks like a little pasta dish right now. So we're gonna let that just sit for just about 2 minutes, and then I'm gonna come back and mix it all in. We'll be right back. So it's been about, I don't know, 90 seconds. I'm kind of impatient today. So now this is really nice and thick, it feels like, because I hardly have any broth compared to all my other stuff I have in here. But it's starting to all steam, and so it feels like now everything is going to be nice and hot. And then I just have to heat up my broth. Okay, so now I'm going to dump this in, hopefully not too messy. Ah! Okay. So yeah, 6 cups of that, I guess. So now let's hope that my proportions are all really nice and balanced, which it looks like it is. It's maybe a little brothier than normal, but maybe that's because it's just got to get a little bit thicker. So it feels really watery right now. So I'm hoping that once my broth heats up, it'll be just a tad thick. Because again, I'm not making pudding, I'm making soup. So like, I don't want it to be like glop, you know. I mean, some soups are like gloppy in your bowl. And especially a turkey noodle soup with a nice broth like this is supposed to be very wet, of course, and watery. So this is what we're going for. And like, we're done. I mean, I don't know. It's pretty much ready to go. Okay, so I have to taste this because I have to taste it because I don't know how my broth was, basically. If I knew my broth was like really nice and salty, then I would be tasting it just to see if it's like perfect, but I have no idea. Tastes so good, but it's not salty. I want that like pop of salt. So I just added, I don't know, probably a teaspoon. Did I add salt? I think I added salt earlier, probably a teaspoon. So like, I'm not a very heavy salter because it seems like sometimes I salt and then it's like really too salty. Okay, now because this is just for my family, I'm going to double dip with my spoon. But if I was really cooking for somebody else, I'd have to get another spoon and pour it in my spoon and all that. But we got the old family trick with a double dip going. Okay, it's getting better. And my vegetables, this is what I love about turkey soup. The first day you make it, if you don't overcook your vegetables, they have just a little bit of crunch to them, which I think is really nice. They're not like hard, but they're just not mushy. And so I think they're very good. But if you, so the first day they're like crunchy, and then the second day they're just a little bit softer, which, I mean, I don't think mine usually turn out like mush, and I always have a very lot left over for a second round anyway. But I'm just saying today I love how they're just a little bit of crunch to it. So, okay, we're going for the third dip and the third sample. Wait, I gotta get some turkey. I gotta get all my colors. There we go, look at, I got orange, green, white, turkey, onion. Everything is in this spoonful, so here we go. I think that's it. It's like such a comfort food to me. It's just so simple, and the turkey tastes so great. So if you have leftover turkey, there you go. Super fast turkey noodle soup. Make some fresh bread or cornbread and you would be happy. Okay, Thank you very much for watching Box Free with Stephanie. I hope you like the show. I hope you make turkey noodle soup and your family thinks it's a great way to use up that turkey and make your own turkey broth, bone broth or whatever. Thanks for watching the show. I appreciate your time. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.